Good afternoon, everyone. You ready to start?
Definitely.
Hi, Mr. Gordon. All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Judge Regina Mincy, and we're going to begin our Fulton County State Court Expedited Accusations calendar. This is a calendar for cases in which individuals have recently been arrested and charged with certain misdemeanor offenses. Soon after their arrest, the Fulton County Solicitor General's Office has already accused these cases of the offenses brought against them, and the case has been bound over to the Fulton County State Court. Nevertheless, this will usually be the defendant's initial appearance before a state court judge, and we are able to address several matters, including bond, possible arraignment, and a possible plea offer if one has been made by the state at this juncture. I want to remind everyone that this whole entire proceeding is being recorded and live streamed on YouTube, so govern yourselves accordingly. I want to remind the defendants that you have certain constitutional rights. The first being that you have a right to representation. You should know who your attorneys are at this point. Listen to them. And also you have the right to remain silent. Anything that you state about the facts, the circumstances, or the occurrences of your case can and will be used against you at a later date. So listen to your attorneys. All right. Who do we have first, deputies?
Position number 1, Hollis.
All right. This is 23 CR 007131A. Orlando Hollis, charged with 1 count of theft of lost or mislaid property, driving while license suspended or revoked, failure to obey signs or control devices, and possession of marijuana less than an ounce. The offense date 11/17/2003. Pre-trial. Where'd he go? Okay.
2023 battery DV. That's open in state court. On probation for battery cruelty to children. 22 SC 183619. That was as of March of this year. They gave him 12 months. This was level 1.
Got a brief facts of the case is that on looks like November 17, 2023, the officer observed the defendant making a U-turn at an intersection where there was a no U-turn sign posted and conducted a traffic stop. The officer asked the defendant for his driver's license. The defendant informed the officer that he did not have it on him and provided the officer with the name of Tory, T-O-R-Y, Jones, date of birth, 12/12/92. The officer then turned to initiate going back to the patrol vehicle and started to walk to the car. And the defendant called the officer back and apologized and stated that he was nervous, and he gave the name of his brother and that his real name was Ontario Hollis. He had his girlfriend send a picture of his license. The officer verified the information and saw that the defendant's license was suspended. Officer then received a call from another officer who informed him that the defendant was actually a pimp of underage girls and that he was dealing with in another case. The defendant's vehicle was impounded, and during the inventory search, several debit cards belonging to different victims were found, and suspected marijuana and a Glock automatic pistol. Your Honor, according to the state's records or our records, the defendant has at least 4 open cases for everything from battery, family violence, to firearms, to theft by shoplifting, in addition to the recent conviction. And so for that reason, Your Honor, the state will be asking for a $3,000 surety bond, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and no contact with the victim. The victim in this case looks like Brian Sauter. There's several victims, if I can be honest, but the victim listed on this case is Brian Sauter, the BRIAN, second name SAUDER. And if you could sound for Mr. Sauter in accordance with Marcy's law, as our office has not been able to get in contact with him, that'd be greatly appreciated.
All right. Mr. Sauter, Brian Sauter. Don't think I see anyone on with that name. All right, go ahead. Is it Ms. McLeod or Ms. Thomas?
This is my case, Your Honor.
Hello.
How you doing, Your Honor? Your Honor, we're going to be denying the allegations. I spoke with Mr. Hollis, and he expressed to me that he was pulled over, obviously, for the U-turn. However, during the officer's investigation with him, he did not have a conversation about the alleged stolen property. We looked at the citations and warrant, and neither allege these allegations that the state is currently presenting to us. Mr. Hollins also does not know of Mr. Brian Saunders. Obviously, if the state is asking for a no contact, that wouldn't be a problem because he is unknown to them. But again, neither the citation or the warrant stated these alleged stolen or mislaid items. Nor did we receive any other discovery. Given the traffic offenses, Your Honor, we would be asking for a signature bond on those. Mr. Holland says he was unaware of his license being suspended. For the failure to obey traffic signals, we would ask for a signature bond. The possession of marijuana less than an ounce, we would be asking for a signature bond as well. Mr. Hollins is 30 years of age. He's a lifelong Georgia resident. He's a father of 3 children, all of the ages 4 and 2. He completed high school and he's currently employed at the Car Wash King in Atlanta. Mr. Hollis did express that he does not make as much, making roughly maybe $250 a week. So he would not have the means to make a high bond. We understand that he currently has a $4,000 surety bond at set presently. But if Mr. Hollins is not entitled to a signature bond, we would be asking for a bond amount no more than $500 for each count.
And I just put on the record that the statements that were made by the state come from the report, the incident report.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm sorry. We weren't provided the incident report.
Okay. I'm going to order a split bond on the theft of mislaid property. That's going to be a $2,000 surety bond. And on the other 3 offenses, that will be $500 each, so $1,500 signature bond through the jail for the 2 driving offenses and the marijuana less than an ounce. So it's a total, check my math, Mr. Jordan, $3,500 with 2,000 surety and 1,500 SOB jail. I do the math right, I believe.
That's what
Yes.
I had.
Okay. And no drugs, alcohol, weapons, or guns while on bond. I guess I don't know. Do I need to say if he has a gun or a Glock, he needs to turn it in, or I know he hasn't been charged with it.
Position number 5.
Judge, did you say stay away? I mean, no further contact on that
Oh,
order?
I'm sorry. Yes. And no further contact. I left that off.
And the essay, oh, I see it in check. Never mind.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. Did I not say November 30th is the SAP reset date? All right. This is position 5, 23 CR 007137Y. Tatiana, is it Schister? Charge of 1 count of battery family violence. Pretrial.
Second arrest, 2018 DUI, level 1.
Okay. State.
Yes, Your Honor. This is Lamar Rhodes. I hope you can hear me.
I can. We just don't
Okay.
normally see you on Saturdays, but welcome aboard.
Thank you so much. I'm going to try to be as confident as Mr. as ASG Thomas, but don't know if I will be. I know that this is a battery family violence. It was upgraded from a simple battery family violence, and I believe that she currently has no bond. I believe the facts of the case is that Alpharetta Police Department Officer Frank responded to 2001 Kermer Street in Alpharetta, Georgia, and met with the victim. His name is Edward Rahil, who lives with and is engaged to Miss Schister. There was also an independent witness by the name of Melanie Little, who actually called 911. They observed the defendant, in this case, Miss Schister, attacking the victim, Mr. Rahil, in the actual breezeway of the complex. The victim stated that after discussing that a rehab facility with the defendant, whether or not she would go to the rehab facility, whether or not he would take her to the rehab facility, Argument ensued, and he was attacked by the defendant and received scratches on his face. Officers indicated that the defendant was intoxicated at the time of the incident. Officers did observe the injuries to the right side of the face of the victim in this particular case. Blood under his right eye that went down his cheek, and they also observed blood on the shirt of Ms. Schister. Based on the criminal history, I do know that there was a DUI, but the defendant has no priors as it relates to a family violence battery. I do believe that this is the first family violence battery for the defendant in this case. So I'm asking for an SOB through pretrial services. I am asking, though, that she receives a signature bond through pretrial services, that if the court is inclined to allow her to start FVIP courses, and no further violent contact with the victim. I don't know if the victim is on today, but I'm going to ask for no further violent contact with the victim. And also, if the court is inclined to do an alcohol and drug evaluation with treatment based on the facts of the case that was mentioned in this particular case, if she can get started on that, that would be great as well. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Which PD do we have? Oh,
I
PD Kent.
apologize, Your Honor. What was the name of the client, Your Honor?
This is 5 Schister.
Yes. Miss Schister is actually 40 years old, and Your Honor, she has been here in Georgia for a long time. Her sister is here. Her entire family is actually residing here in Georgia. She has a strong ties to the community. And as of now, she is not employed. She's looking for a job. And even though she has a bachelor's degree in the marketing, because of her unemployment, she's qualified for public defender services. So our office will continuously represent her. And Your Honor, this is the first ever incident, so we would like to request for signature on bond through jail. And another thing is, though, Mr. Edward Rahil, they have a place, they live together, they don't have a child together. However, my client does not have any other place to go, and their names are in the lease for both of them. So we would like to request for actually no further violent contact, and yet I could not contact Mr. Edward Rahil. So I cannot, it's kind of hard for me to ask for no further violent contact, even though that's what my client wants to. So as of now, no further contact and stay away is something that we do not object. Thank you.
I think I'd ask for no further violent contact, Your Honor. But
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. State already asked for that. I will,
Your Honor, would you sound for the, and I do know
Oh.
sometimes you would sound for the victim.
I forgot. I'm sorry. Yes. Mr. Rahil. Is Mr. Rahil on the Zoom? Oh, nope. All right. I'm sorry about that. I will go ahead and order a $3,000 signature bond. That signature bond, since she's not working, I'm going to, and she does have, it sounds like, enough ties to the community where she will show back up for court. I will go ahead and make that through the jail. I'm going to also order, which I rarely do at this stage, but it sounds like that she may need it. I'm going to order an ADET so that she can go ahead and get evaluated and start on any recommended treatment if there is an issue here with alcohol. And I'm going to order no further violent contact with Edward Rahil. And I will allow her to go back home as long as we're not going to have any more incidents, and there's no further contact with the victim. No drugs, no alcohol, no weapons, no guns while on bond.
What was that amount?
$3,000 SOB jail. All right.
Position 6.
23 CR 007135C. Portia Smith Ponder, charged with 1 count of simple assault, family violence, and then a 2nd count of simple battery, family violence.
6
Retrial?
total. I got 6 total. Arrest out of March of this year, says traffic offense. Most of the history come out of Michigan. 2020 obstruction, 2020 on operating to violate motor vehicle code conviction, 2012 assault battery conviction. This was level 1.
Okay.
That's not me.
I'm sorry?
Not me.
She said that's not her history.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
defer to
don't
the
have
state.
the history.
You know, I defer to the state.
Okay.
All right. All right. So thank you, Your Honor.
Mhm.
As it relates to Ms. Smith Ponder, I believe that this was a case with South Fulton Police Department. Officer Jamal Lucas did respond to 6907 Durham, Durham Lane in South Fulton, Georgia, 30213. Officer Lucas made contact with 2 victims in that case. One victim was a Takia Ponder, I believe is the mother of Miss Ponder, and the other one is Denia Knight. Denia Knight, I do not know the relationship. However, it's my understanding that they all live at 6907 Durham Lane in South Fulton, Georgia, which is the basis of the family violence for both of the victims in this case. Miss Knight was the victim of a battery, and she did have visible injuries to her arm. From my understanding, the defendant did grab and scratch at her arm when Miss Knight was trying to stop her from retrieving a firearm during this particular incident. The simple assault family violence, the mother, Mr. Kia Ponder, was the victim of that. She was hiding in the bathroom when the defendant did kick the bathroom door where the mother was hiding in the bathroom, and she was in reasonable apprehension of fear from Miss Smith Ponder on this particular incident. I don't believe she has a risk of reoffending because I'm showing that she has no priors. I'm not showing any priors.
Okay.
And so therefore, based on that, I believe this was her first arrest. I am asking because it is a first charge for a signature bond through pretrial services. I am asking for no further violent contact with the victims unless they're actually on and they advise otherwise, and that she has no firearms in her possession, no alcohol, drugs, no weapons. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. PD Thomas?
Thank you, Your Honor. We're also showing that Ms. Smith Ponder didn't have any history, but we have no objection to the signature bonds or to the no further violent contact with Miss Ponder, Miss Takiva Ponder, which is the wife. I didn't hear what the state's position regarding Miss Knight, the mother-in-law, but we would be asking for no further violent contact if the state hadn't already propositioned that. Obviously, to be allowed to go back to the marital residence. Miss Smith Ponder and her wife, Miss Takiva Ponder, have been Georgia residents for the past 2.5 years. They share 2 kids, one under the age of 18. Miss Smith Ponder also served in the military up until 2020, where she was discharged for disability. Right now, Miss Smith Ponder is currently unemployed, but she does receive disability benefits. She also visits the VA regularly for her medication as she suffers from PTSD and anxiety. Miss Takiva Ponder, her wife, also assists with her attending the VA. They're in constant communication with her doctor and in receiving her medications. So again, we'll obviously concede with no further violent contact. Mr. Kiva Ponder has expressed that she does still wish to have contact with her wife. She does not fear her wife and wants her to come home.
Okay. I am going to order a $3,000 signature bond through the jail. $1,500 on each of the charges. I'm going to order no further violent contact with the 2 victims, Takia Ponder and Denia Knight. I'm going to order no drugs, alcohol, weapons, or guns while on bond. And I think that will be it for now. Anything else, counsel?
Nothing from the defense, Your Honor.
Nothing for the state, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Position 2.
This is 23 CR 007132C Henry McLaurin, charged at 1 count of battery family violence, pretrial.
19 total, 2012 DUI, 2009 DUI. He doesn't have any violence. Level 1.
All right. State.
Your Honor, brief facts of the case is that on Saturday, October 28, 2023, the officer responded to 5665 Peachtree Dunwoody Road, Atlanta, Georgia 30342. That is actually not the incident location. I believe that is the hospital. The incident location is 5624 Cascade Road, Atlanta. The officer spoke with the victim, who stated that she arrived home at the incident location in South Fulton on Friday, October 27, 2023, when the victim, when the victim stated her husband, the defendant, had been acting nasty and irate towards her because he had fathered a child by someone else. The victim stated that she was involved in a verbal altercation with the defendant and that she was in the process of leaving the house, but the defendant told her to keep talking, and before she knew it, the defendant had grabbed her by the throat. She stated that the defendant put both of his hands around her throat, and she stated that she did not lose consciousness or stop breathing. However, during the incident, she got away from the defendant. She had to get away from the defendant using her nails and by scratching him in the face. She stated that the defendant then picked up a vacuum and threw it at her. And then at some point she felt a pow. That was the defendant punching her in the right side of her jaw, and she heard the left side of her jaw click out of place. She stated that after the defendant hit her, he must have heard the sound because he said that he was sorry and that he advised her to go to the hospital. She said she started rolling on the floor and she felt the blood rushing to her head. The defendant stated she drove herself to Emory's St. John's Hospital. And the officer had the opportunity to speak with the nurse, Anna Elliott, in reference to the incident. The nurse stated that she observed swelling on the victim's neck and that the victim's neck was tender to the touch. The nurse Elliott also stated that she observed swelling on the victim's jaw and bruising behind her left ear. Our office has not been able to get in contact with the victim. However, the victim's name is Ashley, spelled ASLAH, McClorin, McClorin. The recommendation from the state, because of the nature of the charges and the nature of the incident, would be a $5,000 surety bond, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, no contact with the victim, a stay away from that incident location, and the completion of a family violence intervention program. And if at this time we can sound for Ms. McClorin.
Hi, no, I'm here. I'm on. I'm here. My name is
Okay.
Aisha McLaurin.
All right, wherever you are, I need to see you. You can't speak unless I can see you.
Yes, ma'am. Please allow me a moment. Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. Would you like to address the court today?
Yes, ma'am. There were.
Hold on a second. Hold on a
Yes,
second.
ma'am.
Raise your right hand for me so I can swear you in first. Right? Do you affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under the penalty of perjury?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
And okay, put your hand down. Let me explain to you 2 questions I'm going to ask you. This is not a trial. This is not the ultimate hearing on the case. This is a bond hearing. So I'm not going to debate facts with you, but certainly you have a right to speak regarding your contact with this defendant. And let me ask you this, are you in fear of Mr. McLaurin?
No, ma'am. Him and I still share a home together actively.
Okay, and so you want to have continuous contact with him?
Yes, he is my husband.
Okay. All right. Do you all have children?
No, we do not.
Okay. All right. Those are the questions and the answers that I need from you today.
Yes, ma'am.
And is this is a home or apartment that you're renting or buying?
We own a home.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Any cross-examination questions from the state or from the PD's office?
I just want to be clear. Did you have an opportunity to speak with the officer?
So if I can explain it in the facts of how it happened, when I went to the hospital, I never asked for an officer. A charge nurse asked me what happened, and I told her. So when the statement was given to the officer, it was given from the charge nurse, not from my mouth. It was given based on what I told her. So she described to him, to the officer, what had happened based on what I told her had happened. But no one reached out to me directly. My home has cameras front and back. There's been no officers here. Both him and I are gainfully employed, but we move back and forth through the home. He wouldn't have known that he had a warrant because he's an over-the-road truck driver. So nothing came in the mail for him. So it wasn't like he was running from anything, because I would have told him, you need to face this stuff head on because we have too much to lose. But no one contacted me at all since then, no advocate or anything like that.
Okay.
Did you sustain any injuries as a result of the incident?
Yes, sir. I sustained injuries because both of us, we're just in a rough time. 23 years. We're in the roughest patch we've ever been in. So I can take responsibility, and I hope that he can as well. But I don't believe he intentionally meant to hurt me, because he has never hurt me before.
Okay. And did he hit you in the jaw?
Yeah, and I'm gonna have to object. This is not a
Yeah, I don't feel
preliminary hearing.
comfortable.
This is a bond hearing, and the state is trying to get into the details of this case as if we're in trial.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Pierre Thomas. Any other questions?
No further questions, Your Honor. I just was trying to get some clarity on what actually was said, because she said that the statements that the officer had came from the nurse. And so I just want to make sure that the statements that the officer actually received were correct, because if they were totally incorrect, then that's a different situation or a different scenario. And so that was my main.
He received them from the nurse.
Okay. We'll leave it at that.
Okay.
All right. Anything else, Ms. Thomas?
Yes, Your Honor, just some background about Mr. McLaurin. Mr. McLaurin is 42 years of age, gainfully employed as a truck driver. However, Mr. McLaurin said for the past 3 weeks, work has been slow. He has completed the 12th grade. As we heard from pre-trial, Mr. McLaurin has no history of violence, and specifically no domestic history. I believe Mr. McLaurin also has no recent offenses within the past 5 years. Mr. McLaurin expresses that him and his wife are trying to figure things out. He would love to go back home to the marital residence. Him and his wife have been speaking prior to the court hearing. So we are asking for no further violent contact. As we heard from Mrs. McLaurin, she wished for her husband to return home, and that they continue to have contact, Your Honor. Given that this is Mr. McLaurin's first violent offense, no recent history, we would be asking for a signature bond. Mr. McLaurin again expressed that work has been slow, so he does have a concern that financially he would not be able to make a high bond amount, especially $5,000 surety bond. So we would be asking for a signature bond through pretrial or through the jail. And in alternative, if he's not eligible for a signature bond, a bond no more than $1,000 for him to be allowed to return back to the residence and to have further contact with his wife.
Right. All right, I'm going to order the $5,000 signature bond through the jail. I'm going to allow him to return to the home as long as there will be no further violent contact with Ms. McLaurin. I'm going to order no drugs, alcohol, weapons, or guns while on bond. And I guess that'll be all that I'll order for now, but no further violent contact. Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, Ms. McLaurin.
Yes, ma'am. Have a great day.
All right, you too.
Position number 3.
3.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, this is 23 CR 007133F. Carlos Mobley, charge of 1 count of simple battery, pre-trial.
8 total, 2017, 2014. Possession of marijuana. Dismissed. I didn't see any violent arrests either. Jail was a recommendation.
All right.
3 total, 2017, 2014. Possession of marijuana. Dismissed. I didn't see any violent arrests either. Jail was a recommendation.
3 total, 2017, 2014. All right.
2017, 2014.
Yeah, I'll just put some brief facts on the record. Is basically on November 17th, 2023, the officer was dispatched to a dispute call at an incident location and made contact with Miss Zetonia Gates. She advised the two of her baby's fathers were having a physical altercation and shots were fired. Ms. Gates advised that they were all at a park earlier, and a verbal altercation ensued between the father of her children, that being the defendant, and the victim. The fathers of her children, that being the defendant and the victim. After reviewing the video footage at the location, it was clear that after they left the park, all parties went to the incident location. While at the incident location, the victim, seated in the backseat of a gray Kia, was parked in the parking lot of the incident location. The defendant then approached the backseat of the vehicle where the victim was seated and immediately threw a punch at the victim. The victim then exited the vehicle and engaged in a physical altercation in an effort to defend himself. When the victim exited the vehicle, it appeared that he had a firearm with him. The two males began to fight over the firearm, causing it to accidentally discharge multiple times. After reviewing the footage, the officer was able to determine that the defendant was actually the primary aggressor of the altercation. Our office has been able to get in contact with the victim. I don't believe that he'd be on the call, but if we could sound for him at the appropriate time, that'd be greatly appreciated. The recommendation from the state is a signature bond through the pretrial services, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, no contact with the victim, and one anger management course. The victim in this case looks like Courvoisier Edwards, Courvoisier, Edwards, traditional spelling. If we could sound for him, even though I think his indication was that he would not be on today. In accordance with Marcy's law, that'd be greatly appreciated.
All right, Mr. Edwards, Courvoisier Edwards. All right, go ahead, Ms. McLeod.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon.
My client is 29 years old. As pretrial has stated, he has absolutely no history of violence. I am asking for a signature bond through the jail. A little background, Your Honor. My client shares a child with a woman who has two children by the alleged victim. The alleged victim has been making threats towards him, and he has text messages, which when we go to trial, I believe those are going to be very impactful, where the alleged victim has threatened him. The officers only saw a partial video, so naturally they don't have the entire story of what took place. But my client denies that he was the aggressor in this, Your Honor, and I think ultimately it will be shown that he was not, in fact, the aggressor, and that the alleged victim was the one who has been threatening him with death for some time, and we do have that in writing. Nothing further, Your Honor, just asking for a signature bond for my client through the jail.
And what did you say again about the defendant? Is he working or not working?
He is employed, Your Honor. My client is employed. He works. He has a 1-year-old child, which he shares with the alleged victims. They have children with the same woman, and that is part of the issue. You know, the alleged victim has been threatening my client because he has the younger child.
All right, I'm going to order a $3,000 signature bond through the jail. And I want to make sure that we don't have these incidents any further. Right now, I think I will order no further contact with the victim. This just happened less than 24 hours ago. And to stay away from her residence if there to be visitation.
There's not a her, Your Honor. There's no her victim. It's the father of her child.
Oh, the other father.
Victim, the other father.
Yeah.
So,
and he's not asking for a stay away because he doesn't want the defendant to know his address, but he just wants a no contact, the victim.
okay. So no further contact with the victim, which is the other father. If he goes over to the home and he's there to visit his child, then he ought to leave, obviously, because he can't have any contact. So I had that all turned around. I apologize. And just a $3,000 SOB through the jail. No drugs, alcohol, weapons, or guns while on bond.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And I guess that's it. There's nothing else to do at this point.
Nothing further from the state.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Position 4.
This is 23 CR 007134F, Ranveer Ramcharan, and I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that last name. 1 count of battery, family violence, pretrial.
First arrest, jail was the recommendation.
All right. State.
If I could just put brief facts on the case, looks like on November 17, 2023, the officer was dispatched to the incident location, that incident location being 1020 Meadows Glen Circle in Fairburn, which is in Fulton County. In regards to a fight call, the complainant, the victim in this case, appears to be first name Eishvar, same last name as the defendant. Advised that he was attacked by his father, Mr. Michael, same last name as the defendant, and his brother, the defendant, within his room. The victim advised that his father and the defendant entered his room, struck him in the face multiple times, resulting in injuries to his right cheek, nose, and left hand. The officer themselves observed blood coming from the victim's nose, right cheek, left hand, and along with swelling and bruising. The officer spoke with the defendant, who stated that he had come home from the gym when he allegedly observed the victim striking their father. The defendant stated that he jumped in the fight after his father was struck. The officer did not, however, observe any visible injuries to the father. The father appeared to be under the influence of an alcoholic beverage. Both the father and the defendant were taken into custody. I looked into the system, and the father was booked in, and so at some point he may need to be addressed, so that's not a Riverside issue. But the recommendation from the state is a signature bond through the jail, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, no contact with the victim, stay away from the incident location, and the completion of an anger management course. Our office was not able to get in contact with Mr. Eishvar, Eishvar, Ramcharan, Ramcharan. But if we could sign for him in accordance with Marcy's law, that'd be greatly appreciated, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Ramcharan. Is there Mr. Ramcharan on the Zoom? All right. Go ahead, Ms. McLeod.
Yes, Your Honor. My client is 27 years old. This is a situation where my client is going to assert his immunity rights, Your Honor, because all he was doing was protecting his father. His brother was attacking his father. He saw this and he intervened naturally to protect his dad. He has absolutely no history, Your Honor. I would ask for a signature bond to the jail with no conditions other than the usual, no drugs or alcohol, nothing further, Your Honor. And by the way, we all live in the same household. This is what I understand. Mother, father, and this brother. My client is gainfully employed. He is a nurse, and dad is employed. Also, I understand that this young man, the alleged victim, has some pretty significant issues which his family is dealing with, Your Honor. So this is my client's home, and dad was also arrested, but it is dad's home. He's a homeowner. Just wanted to put that out there.
I want to make sure the victims will be safe. I was going to order a stay away. I didn't hear the state ask for that.
I did, Your Honor. I want to stay away from that incident location, and as it relates to them all living at the location and them being related and stuff, the incident date is yesterday, and I just want to point out the insufficient cooling off time.
Correct. I understand all of that, but this is my client's home. This is father's home. You know, his mother's home. And they are the ones, you know, there are things in the police report that you did not mention in the warrant, that the alleged victim has a problem with drug use. And, you know, it's an issue for all the family members.
Right. But it sounds like it may be a hotbed for another incident, and I want to make sure there's been the cooling off. Sounds like the defendant has a very good job that should pay halfway well for him to be able to find another location to stay in temporarily. I don't know that I want them all being back in that house less than 24 hours. So I will give him a $2,500 signature bond through the jail, but I'm going to order him to stay somewhere else until this matter is able to be resolved and there's been cooling down. If he wants to have you to apply for a modification of the bond, we can do that. but I'm going to order a stay away, no further contact with the victim in this case, and no drugs, alcohol, weapons, or guns while on bond.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Right.
That concludes my business before the court today. May I be excused?
Yes, you may. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, Your Honor. Same to you.
Okay.
Number 7.
This is 23 CR 007136J. Antonio B. Ward, charged with 1 count of simple battery. Pre-trial.
I got 23 total. 2023 Cobb County terrorist threats obstruction that appears to be open. 2020 failure to appear. 2020 obstruction, possession of marijuana. 2018 possession of heroin. 2017 probation. 2014 ag assault conviction. Appears to be on probation for that. 14 SC 129671. 2015 they gave him 9 years probation. Got a 2012 battery conviction. 2011 possession of a firearm by convicted felon, NOLO. This was level 3.
All right. State.
I'm sorry, Judge, who, this is,
Antonio Ward.
oh, Mr. Ward. Yes. Oh, I thought, I'm sorry, I thought I had dismissed the case against Mr. Ward. Was this for loitering and prowling and theft of services? Let me apologize, Judge. I'm sure
no.
showing.
That was Mr. Todd. That was the dismissal, not Mr. Ward.
Oh, TODD.
Oh, that was Todd. So Mr. Ward was not the one that was. But this is not for loitering and prowling and theft of services?
No, I just have 1
Oh,
count of
sorry.
simple battery. And I don't know, do you have anything else, Mr.
Oh,
Jordan?
okay, I got it. I'm there now, Judge. I apologize for that. I
That's
believe
okay.
that this was a case where the Marta Police Department, Officer Gwynn responded to 41 10th Street in Atlanta, Georgia. I believe the victim in this case was a Mr. Carlos Suarez. They made contact with the victim, Mr. Carlos Suarez, who identified Mr. Ward as the person who struck him in the face. He punched him in the jaw area. They didn't mention any damage. They didn't see any physical injury. I do agree with pretrial services that I saw 23 cycles on his criminal history. In this particular case, we're asking for an SOB through pretrial, but we're asking that he do stay away from the incident location. We're asking that he has no further contact with the victim in this case, and that he begin some anger management classes, given the history of violence and 23 cycles. Hopefully that'll help him out. Thank you, Judge.
All right. Thank you. PD Kim.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Ward is 34 years old, and he is a lifetime Georgia resident, Your Honor, and he has 6 children, and actually 5 of them are still minors, 8 through 19, Your Honor. So he has to get out of the jail to take care of them. And because of his past history, he was, even though there were a lot of other people at the Marta, he was kind of pinpointed as the one who was the first aggressor. However, he denies being the first aggressor. He was basically defending himself. He's very sure that when the camera comes out and when we watch a video footage, he can prove that his innocence. It was Mr. Carlos Suarez who walked up to him and attacked him. So we would like to request for a signature on bond through jail, and so he can get out and take care of his minor children. He has been working at Sugar Factory as a chef. He has a GED, even though he has a full-time job because of his child support, and he also resides with the children. He's still qualified for public defender services, Your Honor. His financial situation is very difficult, and we would like you to consider that and give him a signature on bond through jail. We have no objection to Marta stay away and no further contact with Carlos Suarez.
All right. I'm going to give him the $4,000 SOB through pretrial. And with that $4,000 signature bond through pretrial, I'm going to order that he take the one-day anger awareness course. I'm going to order that he stay away from the incident location. No further contact with the victim. So, Mr. Ward, if you get around, you'll probably have to use some other means of transportation other than MARTA, because you'll have to stay away from that station. I'm not for sure which station that is. Is that Art Center or no? I don't know. On 10th Street. Not for sure which station it is.
So that sounds about right.
Yeah.
But Judge, you know, I know that is it usually the case that there'll be a 60-day suspension from MARTA for this kind of activity? I'm actually going to ask for a 60-day suspension from all of MARTA.
Right.
Hopefully that'll help get the message through.
Right. Yeah, usually there's already one imposed by MARTA, and we say to go along with their suspensions as well. And I don't know, Mr. Ward, if your attorney is going to want you to ask a question about the conditions or to say anything.
Please do not say anything. If you have any question, please give me a call or I'll call you.
All right. No drugs, alcohol, weapons, or guns while on bond. And I think that will be it.
Hey, give me a level.
Level 1.
Level
Thank
1.
you, Your Honor.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And still will have the anger awareness course, correct? Pre-trial?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
Add on position 1, Saunders.
All right. I think I see that one. Mr. Jordan, I was going to tell you the sound for it, but I see it in the chat. 23 CR 00738A. Tysheen Saunders, charge of 1 count of battery family violence. Pre-trial.
Second arrest. He was arrested in August, failed to appear out of Roswell. That's it. And it was for a suspended license.
Oh, okay. All right. Mr. Pierre Thomas.
All right, Your Honor, brief facts of the case is that on the 17th of November, 2023, the officer responded to the incident location. That incident location being 2010 Harbor Landing, Roswell, Georgia in Fulton County. In reference to an active physical dispute, the victim advised that her husband, the defendant, struck her in the face during an argument, knocking her to the ground and drug her through the parking lot. The officer observed visible swelling and injury to the inside of the victim's upper lip, consistent with the recent injury. The officer did not see any injury damage to her clothes, suggesting that she was drugged through the parking lot. However, unfortunately, our office has been able to get in contact with the victim. She confirmed the incidences that were the statements in the warrant. She states that she wants no contact and a stay away with a one-time police escort. She says that she is in fear of the defendant, especially since the police got involved this time. She states that they have been married for 8 years. They have 3 children together, ages 12, 7, and 8. They do reside at that 2010 Harbor Landing location. So I guess that's another indicia for the stay away. She stated that the defendant has been verbally abusive to her throughout the relationship and has recently been physically abusive. And that's why the police got involved. Your Honor, our recommendation is a signature bond through the pretrial services, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, no contact with the victim, a stay away from that incident location, and the completion of a family violence intervention program. And the victim's name in this case is Morgan, Morgan, Saunders, Saunders. And if at this time we could sound for her in accordance with Marcy's law, that'd be greatly appreciated.
All right. It's Miss Saunders. I think I saw a Morgan Saunders on this
Yeah.
end. All right. And you're the wife of the defendant?
I am.
All right. Do you wish to speak to the court today?
No, I don't.
Okay. All right. All right. Go ahead, PD Kim.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Saunders is 32 years old, and he has been here in Georgia ever since 2020, Your Honor. He has been a personal trainer for the last 12 years, and about 2 years ago, he started his own independent company. He completed a bachelor's degree, and Your Honor, he has no objection to stay away and no further violent. I mean, even though he prefers to have a no further violent contact, he will comply with no further contact and stay away from the incident location, Your Honor. As long as he has a one-time law enforcement officer escorted visit to retrieve his personal belongings, and also third-party transfer for their 3 children, 7, 8, 12 years old. We would like to request for a signature on bond through jail. Thank you.
And jail was a recommendation. I forgot to tell you that.
Okay. I will order a $3,000 signature bond through the jail. I'm going to order no further contact with the victim and a stay away from the incident location. For now, we haven't had the ample cooling down period. I will order the one-time law enforcement escort to return to the property to retrieve his personal items. And remember, you have to arrange that with law enforcement, Mr. Saunders. And I'm going to order, if visitation is allowed, 3 children, that would be coordinated and precipitated by a third party. So that again, Mr. Saunders, you don't have any contact with the victim, Ms. Saunders. And no drugs, alcohol, weapons, or guns while on bond. And I think that'll be it. Did I leave out anything?
No, Your Honor.
Nothing
Nope.
further from the state, Your Honor.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Position 1, I have a $3,500 split bond, 2,000 for count 1, surety, 500 for count 2, 3, and 4. That's reset to 11/30/23 SAP. Position 2 is a 5,000 sign-on bond jail. Position 3 is a $3,000 sign-on bond jail. Position 4 is a $2,500 sign-on bond jail. Position 5 is a $3,000 sign-on bond jail. Position 6 is a $3,000 sign-on bond jail. Position 7 is a $4,000 sign-on bond pretrial level 1. And position 1 on the add-on is a $3,000 sign-on bond jail.
Ooh, 255. I might get a prize today. I know PD Kim's giving me thumbs up. So everyone can enjoy their rest of their weekend, their Saturday. Good to see you again, Miss Thomas. Haven't seen you in a while.
Good seeing you, Your Honor.
They haven't let you out to get back to sea, huh?
They have not. They are working me like I don't know what.
All right. You all have a good one. See you next
I have
time.
a question on position 4.
Or,
Was that a no further contact with the victim?
let's see. I have no further contact. Yes, on 4.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I have.
All right.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
weekend.
Bye, everybody. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
Mr. Jordan, whatever happened to Bianca Tom? I'm sorry, to what's her name? I believe her
There
name
was
is
2 people that made bond that was on the pull sheet.
oh,
let's
okay,
see.
okay. She made bond. Chardonnay Hill is her name. I just wanted to, okay, she probably made bond. I know it's simple battery, family violence, but I only charged it as simple battery because there was no evidence that they lived together. So
Is that
okay.
one of the ones that bonded out, Mr. Jordan?
I have a Phillips and a Brown that made bond. Was Hill bind over?
Chardonnay Hill was not on the bind over. Yes, she was. She was a state bind over.
Okay, yeah, so we'll put on that SAP now.
I was going to tell the PDs I will consent to an SOB if she's in custody, but I guess I can reach out to them. So thanks for bearing with me, you guys. This is new territory for me. Deputy Falk wants all the deputies to be to do this. Judge Minson, you're muted.
I didn't know. She's breaking all the deputies in.